What foods do you need to avoid on a low carb diet as a type 2 diabetic? Why am I qualified to talk about this? Well, my name is John Collett, and in March 2018 I got diagnosed with type 2 diabetes, and I managed to reverse my condition naturally, and I want to help you do the same. So what foods do you need to avoid on a low carb diet if you're a type 2 diabetic? So this is going to come into two different categories. These two categories are going to be man-made food, and it is going to be natural food. So we're going to deal with the man-made food first. Now, all of these foods have got one thing in common. They're convenience foods, which sounds great. But what it means is to make that food convenient, they have to keep that food preserved. So what they do to make it preserved, they pack it full of sugar. Okay, so that's what they do. So and sugar is not good to you as a type 2 diabetic, because that's exactly what you're trying to avoid, is high blood sugar levels, because all of that sugar turns to fat in your body, which is making your type 2 diabetes much worse for you. So let's get into the list of man-made foods you need to avoid. The first one being the obvious ones, and that is sweets, cakes, chocolate, biscuits. Avoid all these foods. We all know that these foods are high in sugar, okay? We all feel that energy burst when we have them as a snack when we go along, okay? But you need to avoid them because they make your blood sugar spike. But things like, instead of biscuits, when I have my protein bars, I like to have them in tea, because sometimes protein bars can be a little bit dry. So putting them in tea tastes a lot better. You know, you can have nuts as a snack as well. Absolutely fantastic. If you are going to have chocolate, dark chocolate, 80% cacao, dark chocolate, you do get used to the taste. So that's a good alternative. The next one we're going to talk about pastries. Okay, so we're talking about pasties, pies, sausage rolls, Scotch eggs, pork pies. Yet again, the thing with pastry is not natural food. It's packed with sugar and different chemicals which are going to make your blood sugar spike, and so you just need to avoid those foods as much as you can. Well, avoid them, just don't eat them. Okay, so the next lot of food we're going to talk about is bread. I know, oh my god, how do we cope with bread? How much bread do we used to eat? Okay, so bread, white bread, you need to keep, you can't eat white bread. If you make a loaf of bread, okay, naturally, just with proper ingredients, and stick it in the bread bin next to a pack of white bread you buy from the supermarket, okay, and see which one lasts the longest. Okay, I promise you, the supermarket bread, which by the time you've bought it has been made already for about like 3 or 4 days as it is, I promise you it will go off really, really quick, because it's packed with a preservative. Whole grain bread is better than white bread, and there are some very low carb options, but still I would try to avoid it. I personally, low carb bread is better. So if you are going to have bread, limit it to 2 slices a day, okay, and try not to eat it every day. So the next thing on our list is going to be frozen ready meals. If it comes in a tray or in a box and you can stick it in the microwave, yes, that includes pizza. Okay, so the cauliflower pizza, right? Cauliflower pizza bases, all good, right? So, but yeah, anything in a box that can just be heated up, it's great. Yeah, it's convenient, okay, but it's packed with salt, it's packed with sugar, it's not good for you. Real food is where you want to be at here. So avoid that. So the next thing we're going to talk about is low fat food. You need to, for me, or sweetened food. This normally comes in yogurt, milk, you know, so these are things you really want to avoid as well. When they take the fat out of the food, it tastes awful. So guess what they stick in it to make it taste nice? Okay, that's right, it's going to be sugar. Okay, and don't panic, fat isn't bad for you. We burn energy through carbohydrates and fat. Okay, so, and when you're on a low carb diet, you need the extra fat, okay, to burn as an energy source because you're putting less carbs in your body. So fat is a good thing for you. Next thing on the list, processed meat, right? Meat in itself is great. I love bacon. I eat plenty of bacon, and I like keep the fat on the bacon on the meat that I eat as well because the fat is good. But anything like wafer thin chicken, wafer thin ham, spam, yeah, I'm not sure what you call it in America, but it's these man-made foods, right? They're just packed with sugar, and they're not a good option for you. Avoid processed sugar. So the next one on the list I want to talk about is drinks. Okay, now this really should be common sense. It really should be common sense. Your fizzy soda. I'm not going to say names. I'll get into trouble. You know it, right? But fizzy soda, you need to stay away. It's packed with sugar. Squashes, you need to stay away from squashes. And energy drinks, the energy is sugar. You need to avoid that. And also orange juice. Definitely stay away from orange juice. All that vitamin C, right? Yeah, well, guess how it tastes nice, okay? It's packed with sugar. That's how it stays as fresh as it does in the box on the fridge. Stay away from that. There's plenty of other great drinks you can have. Black coffee, you can have green tea, you can have water with lemon or lime in it. You know, these are great options. When it comes to alcohol, yes, I know, I feel the pain, I really do, right? Okay, we all like a beer, right? But gin, vodka, if you are going to drink, these are better options for you than alcohol, champagne, wine, and all of these type of things. So now I'm going to talk about a list of natural foods that you need to avoid. And we're going to start off with white starchy foods. So things like pasta, rice, and potatoes. Okay, now this is controversial because I know the UK Food Association and the US version, they tell you that this is foods that you should eat on a balanced diet. Unfortunately, these foods are high in carbs, and when you're a type 2 diabetic, they make your blood sugar spike through the roof, and so you need to avoid them. There's plenty of really great alternatives you can use, like courgette spaghetti instead of pasta. Tastes great and cooks really, really quick. A lot quicker than pasta, I tell you now. So it's a lot more convenient. Cauliflower rice instead of normal rice, really good for you. And there are other rices that are coming out that I've seen that have been recommended to me, which some people in the community have said are really, really good. And also, you know, potatoes, you can, sweet potatoes are slightly better. I know there's a big debate about that one, but sweet potatoes are slightly better, so you can give those a go instead, and you can make chips out of sweet potatoes as well. So the next one is a fruit. Now, fruit is always a controversial one in the community, okay? But what I have learned from having a Facebook group called Charging Down Type 2 Diabetes, I'll put a description in the below, you can come join us there. There are people in there who've reversed their condition. Some of them have ate fruit and some of them have avoided fruit. Me personally, I've ate fruit as I've gone through this, and I've got an A1C of 4.6, and there's other people in the community who've done the same, and there's other people who they can't. And all this proves to me is that everyone's insulin resistance is different, and we have to bear that in mind when we make these suggestions. But if there's one fruit that everyone needs to avoid, it's bananas. Okay, bananas. I'm not saying bananas are not a healthy fruit in the right circumstances, depending on what you're training for. But as a type 2 diabetic, it's packed full of carbs. You need to avoid that particular fruit. Now, before you go, oh my God, let's give it all up, there's nothing for me to eat anymore, which is such a load of rubbish. I'm going to stick a video over there, and it's all about the fantastic foods you can eat as a type 2 diabetic on a low carb diet. You're no longer a number, you're a rhino. Now charge.